The tool, as Paul has outlined, has been developed for the SICAP programme in a joint initiative between the Department and Pobal. But very importantly, it's been developed in collaboration with SICAP service providers, the local development companies, LCDCs, and crucially, the clients. The development process, as we've heard, was led by the Social Enterprise Quality Matters and statistically validated by Trinity College Dublin. And want to acknowledge all of those inputs and the inputs of all of the members of the steering group who were involved. But the result is, I think, potentially a very important advance in how SICAP service providers can measure progress and support their work with individuals. From the point of view of the Department of Rural and Community Development, our mission is to promote rural and community development and to support vibrant, inclusive and sustainable communities throughout Ireland. And one of the most important ways in which we do this is through the SICAP programme. Because building community and strengthening community requires a commitment to including and enabling the most marginalised and most disadvantaged amongst us, supporting them to contribute to the life of their community and to maximise their own potential. And this is what SICAP aims to do. And we need data to help show the success of the programme. And we have good data on the numbers who participate and benefit, but behind the numbers, behind every number, is a person with a story and with their own set of personal, often very challenging circumstances. SICAP, as you know, involves a level of intensive one-to-one engagement, which has a richness that can't be captured in numbers. And it can be sometimes difficult to understand and explain this somewhat hidden work and to develop reliable ways to record and demonstrate it, and importantly to celebrate it. And I think this is where the My Journey tool now offers us a significant new potential. It provides a way for us to shine a light on this softer individual progression, which is, as I say, undoubtedly harder to measure and to demonstrate. And it can be very important in helping us to convey more fully what SICAP is achieving. But much more crucially for the individuals and for the individual beneficiaries from the programme, it can tell them where they are on the 5 soft skills and show them how they're progressing in the development of their own skills. And the self-reflection that this involves and the development of their own personal self-awareness, their personal development, their personal self-confidence is really where the greatest potential value of this tool lies. So, like Paul, I just want to acknowledge the role of the 15 local development companies that were part of the pilot process, and you saw them listed there earlier. All of them volunteered to be part of this. And in putting themselves forward to try something new, they've made a massive contribution to policy development, and we really appreciate that contribution because the process couldn't have worked without their willingness to do that. And the feedback from the pilot companies has been very positive. They've found that the individuals themselves have found the My Journey tool useful and that it has made a difference, and we'll no doubt hear more about that in the course of the morning. But building on this experience, the department does now expect that every company will use My Journey, and we would like to see it used with as many SICAP clients as possible, while recognising that it won't be suited to every client. I think the frontline staff will be obviously best placed to use their discretion in determining and using their own professional judgment to determine who can benefit and where and when it should be used. But one thing I do want to say is that the department has been very clear that the My Journey tool will not be used to benchmark or monitor performance, and it will not be linked to funding. That is not the purpose, and I'm just glad to be able to re-emphasise that here this morning in case there's any doubt. I know we have a good representation here this morning from the LCDCs, and they have played a very important role in implementing the tool, and will continue to have a very important role in implementing the tool. They will support the local development companies in now introducing the tool in their organisations, and the intention is to allow time and space for frontline staff to become familiar with the tool and to embed it in their practice and in their work with service users. The LCDCs, as you know, were represented on the steering group, as Paul has pointed out, through the Chief Officers Fora. Sorry, I'm losing my place here. And I want to obviously acknowledge that contribution. As well as the LCDCs, we've had a number of other contributions to the steering group, as Paul has listed them, including the National Learning Network, SOLAS, the ILDN, the ESRI, the Department of Employment and Social Protection, the Department of Children and Youth Affairs, Maynooth University and Ballymun Job Centre, and while they were already named, I want to name them again because it is important to acknowledge all of the expertise and experience that was brought to the table as part of that process, and this couldn't have got to the stage it's at without all of those excellent inputs. And a very big thank you again to Quality Matters led by Caroline Gardner for the energy and excellence that they brought to the process, and to Dr. Catherine Comiskey of Trinity for the academic rigour that she brought to the design process. If I can, I'd like to make a special mention of our own team in the department, in the Social Inclusion Division, who have led the process, particularly Sinead Quinn, Lisa Keaveney and Bernie Reap, as well as obviously Paul and Barbara, who have overseen their work. And they worked in close collaboration with the staff in Pobble, namely Lucy Pine, Juan Carlos Azapardi and Pauline Perry. So a big thank you to all of those. So as a department, as I say, we're delighted to introduce My Journey today. I think, as is obvious from all of the contributions that have been acknowledged, the questionnaire is the culmination of a lot of work over the past 18 months, and we're well aware that a lot of further work now lies ahead in supporting companies in the implementation phase. The aim is that by the end of this year, all companies will be using the tool, learning from these experiences, and hopefully helping us to identify opportunities for wider application. I was just reflecting as I came in here this morning that the last time, and the only other time I was in this venue, was at an AINTIS conference here last year for International Women's Day. Some of you may have been here. But the one thing that stood out to me that day was this was a conference on community education and its impact on women, the lives of women. And we heard a number of personal testimonies that day that were really powerful around how the involvement of individuals in community education had transformed their lives. And I think, speaking as Paula said, I have a background in education. Conventional measures of progression and attainment in our education and training system don't begin to capture the greatest success stories that are out there in terms of how people's lives have been transformed by programs like SciCap and other opportunities. And it's not just the lives of the individuals themselves, it's their families, it's the next generation, the intergenerational impact of all of that. It's really powerful. And we do need to be able to tell those stories. And we do need to keep trying to come up with new ways of helping and supporting the most marginalised and the most disadvantaged in our communities. So I think this My Journey distance travel tool is just a great example of a new approach to help us to support those individuals more effectively and that objective more effectively. Before I finish, I want to give my apologies for the fact that I can't stay here for the full morning. Unfortunately, I have a commitment back in the department that I have to be back for. But I know it's going to be a really worthwhile morning. I'm delighted that so many of you are here in attendance this morning. We really appreciate your attendance and your support for the process to date. But most of all, we appreciate your commitment to ensuring that this is a success as we now move into the next implementation phase, the most important phase. So thanks all very much for your attention and your support.